Hello, Lazio world. Welcome to Lazio Lounge. If you're following us on Twitch or YouTube, you can see every day there's a new jingle. Every day a new surprise. Alistair, like the surprise Maurizio Sarri gave us yesterday with Vedat Muriqi starting. I didn't expect that. It was a huge surprise for me. And obviously, we're going to talk about his performance because I think he was one of the men to watch yesterday as he was finally starting. I think last match he started was Bologna Lazio, which didn't end it very well, right?
No, you're right. Yeah, huge surprise. I think you asked me a couple of days ago, will Muriqi start in this game? And I just flatly said no, because I don't think we really expected at this stage, especially with all the transfer speculation, all that there was really any point in starting him. But
Yeah.
I don't know, did he add any value to his asking price?
Well, that's the question. That's the question, Alistair. Do you think this is to just show up, and say maybe send a reminder to the team, hey, we have Vedat Muriqi, come and see. It's yours for grab. I fear it's the other way around. I mean, Tare probably knocked the door of Maurizio Sarri on Tuesday morning and said, hey, he's staying with us. So, if you want to play him or do something, now it's the time. He's staying with us. Right?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck, Maurizio. This is what you've got for the rest of the season. Yeah, I mean, I thought, well, yeah, I mean, he did look really determined. The way he started the game,
Yep.
he seemed to have kind of fire in his belly. He seemed like really fired up to be given this chance, and that was good. It wasn't that long ago that he was on social media saying that he was mentally dead. So it was encouraging to see the way I mean, more than anything else, I know because I came on Twitter and said he'd started really well, and
And that
people are
was the end.
pointing out that he probably should have scored one of the two good chances he got. But I think the bar is so low with Muriqi that what I was actually what I was actually impressed with is just that he was involved in the game. That's been for me the biggest problem with Muriqi all along, is that he's looked so often completely lost in
Yeah.
the Lazio team. Like, he doesn't really know where to be when he doesn't know when he's trying to do his layoffs, when he's holding off the ball. Half the time they don't reach anyone, or he's not in the right position to get onto the crosses. There's miscommunication everywhere. Whereas yesterday, even though he didn't score, he didn't finish the chances he got, I thought, at least in that first half, he actually looked more a part of the team, which is really surprising considering he's hardly played.
Yeah. I thought he was unlucky on the first chance. Silvestri made a nice save. On the second one, he could have done more. And on the third one, I was hoping for a penalty. But yeah. But do you agree with Sarri that said that in the second half he dropped because he didn't play that much? He wasn't used to, and the form dipped, and that's why he stopped playing as well as he did He stopped playing like he did in the first half.
Yeah, probably. But then I don't know about you, but I felt like the entire game just dipped in the second half. There was a kind of lethargy about the entire match and all the players on the pitch. So I don't think that was necessarily just Muriqi, as opposed to it got a bit cagier. The closer you're getting to full time, the more the knowledge that, next goal could knock you out of the cup comes in, and there were a few changes happening and so on. And yeah, I do think his performance dipped, and yeah, probably he's not ready to play 90 minutes at the moment because he's not been doing any of that. But at the same time, I was just disappointed with the second half. I mean, how different was this to the last time we played Udinese? It couldn't be a much more different game than the 4-4 draw.
Yeah, the TV commentator just said it every 10 minutes. At the 20th time he said it, it got a little bit annoying. Okay, you said it already 3 times. You can stop it there. Yeah, every game is different, even if the same teams play. And I think the best stats you mentioned on this podcast was the one after Lazio Udinese, right? Saying that, like, what was it? 20% of the goals Udinese scored was against Lazio, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Yeah, forgot about that.
This tells you that Udinese is not a team that usually scores a lot, right? They made a lot of substitution as well. So this had an impact on the match. Talking about substitution, Alistair, it looks like we lost Zaccagni, and we have both Pedro and Zaccagni out. And Saturday we have an easy match, right, against Atalanta at home. So Muriqi on the wing.
Now that would be a surprise. That would be a real curveball for us after the two now Dennis Vavro sightings. And why
Two
not?
matches, two clean sheet.
Yeah, exactly. 2 clean sheets in the space of what, 3 days. I mean, that's something to tell the grandchildren about in future generations. But yeah, Patrick and Vavro both on spending time on the pitch during those matches as well, and Pepe Reina in goals this time.
He did
okay.
well.
Did okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually made a save, and I think we have to be happy whenever that happens. But yeah, I mean, I think we were speaking about the defense, the clean sheet last time, and I was a bit down on it, saying, we can't say a huge amount about playing that Salernitana team. But this time I do think going 120 minutes without conceding against a decent Udinese team is a good achievement. And yeah, another 5-minute cameo for Dennis Vavro. What does it mean, Vittorio? What does it mean?
I fear again. I fear when Tare was knocking on the door of Maurizio Sarri, he said, by the way, even Vavro is staying.
Well, yeah.
Because the thing is, if there's a deal going on or they are talking to another club, usually you don't even call them, right? You don't put it in the list. Making them play, it's even a clearer signal that, hey guys, there's no one asking for these players. So I fear this is the reason why Vavro start playing. And Radu didn't show up. We don't know if he's COVID or what's going on. But with Acerbi out, with Radu out, there's only Dennis Vavro, right? So there are not many options there. But I didn't forget that you dodged my bullet. I said, who's going to play on the wing against Atalanta?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that we got an idea of the hierarchy during this game because once Zaccagni came off, it was Raul Moro who came on rather than Luca Romero. And,
or Johnny.
Or Johnny, yeah. I mean, I guess the only other option that we've seen maybe once or twice was Lazzari being pushed higher up the pitch. But yeah, I think Raul Moro seems like the obvious choice in a way. But it does seem a little lightweight with him and Felipe Anderson as your 2 wingers. I think what Pedro and Zaccagni do really well is kind of work hard off the ball as well. And actually, I think Anderson did quite well in that regard in this match, and Moro did as well, actually. But I don't think against Atalanta, I do wonder if they'll maybe be a bit more cautious, considering how much Atalanta like to work down the flanks and how important their wing backs are to them. Even though I know they've got a lot of injury problems at the moment and changed their formation recently, so who knows what they're going to look like as well.
Yeah, it's a valid point. And honestly, I was thinking maybe Johnny with more experience, but as well, Johnny's defense is awful. So, I would rather give Raul Moro start and see how things goes. Even Luca Romero, though, could be an option. Or do you think the Raul Moro is the first choice?
I think Moro's ahead of him. He's been given more game time. He's a little bit older. He's been around for a bit longer. So I think Moro's probably ahead of him in the pecking order at the moment. But yeah, it's nice to see that they've both been actually getting some time recently, because there was a long period where they weren't even coming off the bench. So that's
and yesterday I thought Alistair was a huge signal because, as you was mentioning, Raul Moro pretty much didn't play in the last month or so. So, I thought the signal was, they're talented, but I don't feel that they are ready. Instead, yesterday with Zaccagni injured, he put Raul Moro, who played a lot. And this is not the first time, Alistair. Raul Moro come in, and for the first 10, 20 minutes, he's a little bit shy, I think. Then when he gets the groove, he improved a lot. And I like him because he did what he did with the Lazio Primavera. He starts from the left and then move centrally. And there's where he can really get dangerous. He had a chance He created an assist. He had another huge chance where I don't know if he was unlucky or he should have been more cold-blooded. But this guy is only 18, and if we remember, usually Inzaghi was putting only players over 30 in the pitch. This is a huge change for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was really encouraged by what we saw from him. I think that's probably the biggest impact he's made in a Lazio game. Do you think? I mean, in terms of the number of chances he was involved in, the number of chances he created. I mean, you've been saying for a while that the biggest issue with him is his finishing and the ability to kind of keep a cool head, like you said, that cold bloodedness to put those chances away. Um, but that might come, I think the more he plays, the more confident and
Yeah.
at ease he should feel in this team. And I felt like yesterday he actually, yeah, like you said, he needed a bit of time to warm up into the game, but once he did, he showed that he can be a difference maker. Um, I don't know. Am I right about that? I can't really remember another match where he's come on and made quite as many chances as that.
No, because only against Torino he started, right, and he played 45 minutes, and he didn't have a huge impact there. He had a couple of movements, but was quite blocked by the physicality of Torino defender, if I'm not wrong. And after that, he just played a couple of minutes. I'm not sure if he made an assist to Luis Alberto against Spezia. I think so, but we were already 5-1, something like that. So he was given like 10 minutes in Spezia's match. The other thing, Alistair, is Luca Romero, as you were mentioning, is probably behind Raul Moro, but mentally, I think he's ready. You can see him coming in very focused, not trying to do funny things, but very laser focused on the match. Which for a player who's just turned 17, it's huge. You can see that mentally he's already a player. He has to grow. I think he's a little bit like Raul Moro, to be honest. Physically, they are not probably ready, but this guy really, really. I like this. I like Raul Moro. I like Luca Romero. I'm not think they're gonna have a huge impact this season, but if they start playing a little bit, then next year, who knows? They could really be game changer for this team.
Yeah, and there's space in that squad for them to play. It's nice to have the young players coming through in a position where we're going to need them, which might sound a bit stupid, but sometimes the backlog of young players, it can be difficult for them to get game time if they have already too many strong options ahead of them. But in this 4-3-3 with Sarri, with the options we've got, with Pedro's been brilliant, but he's not going to be around forever at his age. So there is a pathway for those guys to hit the first team. And, we know that's something that's really important to Raul Moro and that we got a bit worried about last season. The fact that Lazio did really well to sign this guy. Let's not forget he was wanted by a lot of big clubs, including Chelsea, and he came to Lazio because he saw a path to the first team, playing in a Big Five league. And then after 2 years, he'd barely been given any opportunities. And we know that the Primavera Serie B isn't exactly a tantalizing option for a player of that potential. So now I imagine he must be feeling a bit more like, right, I was right about this after all. And I do have an opportunity and there is a space for me in this team.
Yeah,
So that's really encouraging that they've invested in youth, first of all, and that these
finally.
investments look like they might actually pay off.
Yeah, and looking forward, to Atalanta, he has a real chance not only to start but to play a lot of time because uh, we don't have that many options behind him. The other option is Luca Romero, who's even younger. So would you sub Raul Moro to put Luca Romero in the beginning of second half? That's a risk. Or you try Johnny, which I don't think is ready to play. So and we hope that Zaccagni and Pedro will be back soon, but we don't know how long they're going to miss. So there's a big opportunity for both of them to play finally in key matches because, yes, Champions League is over, but we still have to fight for Europe League.
Yeah, absolutely. And Europa League is coming back soon as well. We've got a weird international break coming up after this match as
Yeah.
well. So it's an opportunity to kind of. I think it would be huge, really, to get a result against Atalanta just before this break. Would be a real confidence booster. Sarri spoke after this game about how he is seeing this growth in the team, and that's nice to see. Nice to see that there's a decent run of results being put together. They seem to have found a little bit more solidity in the last couple of games, at
Yep.
least. But that's going to be tested more than ever against Atalanta. That's the real test. It's one thing Salernitana and Udinese getting clean sheets, but if they manage to come away from an Atalanta game, the amount of goals they score, the weapons they have, that would be incredible as a sign of progression.
Yeah, it's even true, Alistair, that we will face Atalanta with a lot of players out because Acerbi will be out. Cataldi, who yesterday played really well, will be missing. And I
Yeah,
mean, the assist of Cataldi yesterday was amazing.
yeah.
Pedro, Zaccagni out. So, I don't think it's the perfect time to face Atalanta. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a miracle to finish the match with another clean sheet, but I would say even getting a point, or I'm too pessimistic this time.
I think there's a chance. There's always a chance, and look, we've done all right in the big games this season. Less so recently, but but this team has proven that they can get results in big matches under Sarri, and I think they're further down the line now than they were at the start of the season when we were beating Inter and Roma back at the start of the season. I think this team's probably better developed now than it was then.
Yep.
I think this, as we've said all along, this attack has got enough to cause problems for any team. Obviously, like we've just been saying, it's a slightly different attack this time, but I mean, Ciro's unstoppable at the moment. that finish was incredible on his weaker foot as well.
Yep. Yep.
He's some player. Just
Yeah.
what can we
what can we say about Ciro? I mean, we said everything. He's simply keep going with the left foot. He at pretty much the first chance he had, he scored. Going back to Hardos, I agree that Pedro will help Raul Moro and Luca Romero to grow. I think he's going to help them make a better player. Definitely, I think this could be, I think, very important for them, having Pedro there ready to teach them, right?
Yeah, and Luis Alberto, I think, has taken on a bit of a kind of mentor role as well. I think there's this obviously this big Spanish contingent at the club, and I don't know if it's formed a clique or whatever, but it does seem like it's quite good for the young kids if they come in and they've got experienced guys there, Alberto, Pedro, Pepe Reina, even telling them how to play on the wing, and that's good. You need mentors for these young players, and Pedro's had an incredible career, so
Yep.
who better?
Alistair, it's the 19th of January. We still didn't sign a single player. Do you think it's going to happen? Do you think we are going to sign a player before the end of the winter transfer market?
It's not looking good, is it? I mean,
No.
it seems like every game now it becomes less likely because of what's said by Tari and what's said by Sarri. And this time, Sarri was, what did he say again? It was something about how, he would like to spend $1.5 billion in the market if he could, and how Lazio will need 2 or 3 markets because it's unlikely they're ever going to bring in 7 players in one. And he seems a bit frustrated by it. He's talked about the liquidity index, which is frustrating for all of us. He's talked about what he needs and how unlikely it is to happen. And Tari's also talked about how the CSK Moscow thing doesn't actually seem to be a real story. So for Muriqi, that is. So no, I see no signs of positivity out there really at the moment. Vittorio, how about you?
Yeah, I have to say that beginning of January, I was optimistic. I was really feeling that this time, Lazio, nothing unbelievable. I was thinking 2 signing, but I was thinking that this could happen finally. Instead, the more we are going, the less I'm convinced it's going to happen. We still didn't sell a player, so it's very difficult to happen. And again, we are in a tough situation because we saw it in the last couple of matches. Acerbi's out. We have Patrick Luis Felipe playing, and again, both of them didn't convince me yesterday, as they did against Salernitana. Luis Felipe is getting a lot of silly yellow cards, and you can never trust Patrick. So I'm really concerned, and we needed a central defender. So Otare comes out and say, "Hey, your new player is Denis Vavro," which I think will create a lot of discussion. Because like this, Alistair, we won't even be able to sign Kamenovic, who is still training with the squad but still haven't been signed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just there's no real movement, is there? It's a bit demoralizing. The thing I really hope is that it doesn't detract too much from Sarri's relationship with the club, because he does sound frustrated, like I said, and the worry is always that we probably took it for granted a bit too much how well Inzaghi was embedded into the club, and he was willing to put up with the nonsense he was having to deal with from Lotito and Tare, but Sarri's probably not going to. And he said something yesterday like, the important thing is that the club is as committed to the improvement of the team as I am, or
yes,
something along those lines. And that's already kind of sounding a small alarm bell for me, where it sounds like by saying that, he's not convinced the club is doing that. And
yeah,
as we've said from the start, if we're going to commit to Sarri, we have to commit to Sarri, because there's no point in going halfway with this project, this idea. They have to bring him the players he needs. You can't give him an imbalanced squad. So,
Alistair, one of the rumors here in Rome is that Tare will be gone. Do you think there is a issue there, a lack of communication, or a problem in communication between Sarri and Tare, and that's one of the reasons why the transfer market is not working or hasn't moved?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I just feel like that's kind of people putting the dots together a bit, where it's kind of like, well, he's out of contract soon. The transfers recently haven't been very good. There's this liquidity index problem. Lazio are struggling to sell players. Muriqi and Vavro are big sticks to beat him with. And so you kind of put all those things together, and it's easy to come to the conclusion that there's an issue. I still kind of find that quite hard to believe, because, let's not forget, Lotito sees Tare as one of his great success stories as Lazio president, I think, where he's talked about how he saw Tare's potential to become this sporting director, and essentially plucked him out of nowhere after he retired to put him into this role. And he ended up winning, an international award for his work and signing all these players. So they're so kind of close, those two, that I would be really surprised if after everything they've been through together that it was to end. But you never know. I don't know. Do you think do you see some truth in it?
I think so. I mean, it looks like something changed, by the way, in between the relationship. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we are closer than Lotito and Tare are at the moment. So, that's before I forget.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but
before I forget, I thought that Vavro came in to take the penalty if we were going to the penalty. I think he scored the last one against Atalanta, right? When he was at Copenhagen. So
maybe it's like in American football, how they've got, a dedicated player who just kicks the ball. Maybe that's what Vavro is for us now. We just have him ready for penalty shootouts.
Yeah, seeing how Ciro Immobile has some issue there with the penalty, we have Denis Vavro, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting to see if he actually starts any games soon, because I am so confused by this recent selection of
Yeah,
Vavro.
yeah. I mean, it's a terrible sign for me. A terrible in the sense that we're not gonna sell anybody. So, you know, uh, we're gonna see. Hard notes again. Peruzzi left last summer with his son. I think it's time. Well, we're gonna see if Tare leaves. I mean, we have plenty of time to discuss about that. Peruzzi's son, I think, is playing now in Eccellenza, something like that. He was on the bench of Lazio Primavera last year. Um, to be honest, it didn't look to me like he was a great goalkeeper. But uh, I don't know if this ruined the relationship with Peruzzi because he said that his son didn't have a chance, etc., etc. But I don't think this is the reason why Peruzzi left at the end.
No, I mean from his interview recently, it sounds like he was just not happy with the way things are inside the club.
Yeah.
But Tare is a big part of that by the sounds of it. So
Alistair, to wrap it up, when was it? 2 days ago, Rai 3 did another. I would repeat. I think it's the second time in a 6 month they do a dossier on Claudio Lotito, saying that he has a lot of things going on, something not very legal. They said that he wanted to buy Alitalia 2 years ago. Everybody knew that in Italy, but one thing that nobody knew is that he presented a false document to prove that he could afford to buy Alitalia. And then moving from there, they move obviously to Lazio, saying that Lazio has huge debts, which I don't know how they were able to show that the relationship with the Lazio and Salernitana was concerning. A lot of strange things happen. Again, another attack to Lazio. And Alistair, it's funny to see Lazio with Napoli. It's one of the only big team with Napoli that has the balance sheet on order, and they do a dossier on Lazio's debt, while Roma, Inter, Juventus are, in a much worse situation than us.
yeah, there is a fascination with Claudio Lotito in the Italian media. I think it's safe to say. I guess you can understand why. Like he's not a particularly likable character, and I think people don't trust him generally. And he's an ambitious guy. He's a powerful guy. Um, but yeah, I mean, I didn't see the show, so I can't really comment too much on what they've come out with. But it does seem like a lot of people are a bit, let's say, miffed, a bit unhappy with the way things have been presented, and especially in the context that you said, in which everyone at the top of the league has worse financial issues than Lazio do. Lazio are refusing to spend in the market at the moment because they're adhering to the rules in place about the liquidity index. The thing that infuriates Lazio fans more than anything, I think, is how closely Lotito does stick to to the financial rules. I don't know about the financial rules, but how closely he sticks to wanting to keep the finances in order. So I don't know. You seemed quite angry about this yesterday, so maybe you're the best to talk about it. I mean, there's also Roma links in this report as well, are there not?
Yeah, well, in a perfect world, it would have made sense to do another dossier on Claudio Lotito. But in a country where a team win the Scudetto without paying the salary to the players, with clubs that have more than 400 millions of debts, with players involved on false plusvalenze and things like that, and nothing is doing anything about it, and you're doing. They talked about the aeroplane of Lazio. I mean, this is something that
An obsession.
that's so. I struggle to understand this obsession. When Lazio announced the aeroplane, I said, okay. I mean, yeah, nothing big. Instead, it drive crazy everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Milan fans were simply nuts. Roma fans were, why? I don't get it. But yeah, yesterday, in this dossier, they had to reiterate what happened to the Lazio airplane. Why Lazio bought the airplane? Where is it gone? What do you care? They rented. A lot of other company does it, and no one, does nothing or make question about it. So yeah, this tells you, and yeah, it looks like the guy in charge of this show, it's a Roma fan. So a lot of Lazio fan made 1+1, and it's strange that nothing has been done about Roma. The stadium of Rome has been a nightmare. There are some political process, even how do you say? There are people that could risk to go in jail for the Roma stadium, and a report that it's the name of this show didn't do nothing about it, nothing. But the aeroplane of Lotito, my God, guys, this is gonna be something huge. I simply don't get it. So yeah, unfortunately, in Italy it's like that. So uh, I get it. I mean, I saw the show, and I have to say that watching Lotito talking, he's really not a nice guy. I mean, he always take the wrong side. He always makes him feel like he's annoyed and wants to make you annoyed. So I get that, but you cannot attack people for that.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are great defenders of Lotito,
No,
but when when it seems like slightly gratuitous, attacks on Lazio, and there's been a lot of this, with the what's it called, the COVID testing
yeah,
scandal last year, and I think generally people just feel a bit hard done by with the way that the club is dealt with in the Italian media, and let's be perfectly honest about it. I think the club doesn't help itself in its
no,
relationships with the media, as I know very
you know
well.
something.
Um, but um, but that doesn't mean that that they have a right to treat different clubs differently. And yeah, the plane thing, I agree. I find that bizarre. People couldn't stop talking to me about that here, and I was like, I
Yeah.
don't care. It's a plane. They've painted it in Lazio colors. They rented it from some Bulgarian airline, and they'll
I
get to
mean,
the games quicker. I
Roma
don't
could do the same. Every other club could do the same. So, but yeah, well, I think it's time to wrap it up. I mean, otherwise I get too annoyed, and have a lot of things to do, and I don't want to get nervous before that. So again, Alistair, thank you very much for joining me. Lazio Atalanta, very important match this Saturday. We're gonna be back after that match. Uh, Maybe talk about another Ciro's goal, or maybe Muriqi.
So yeah, Muriqi from the wing,
Yep, I can see it
skipping
happening.
past two defenders, whipping it across. Yeah, that's
But who knows? It's gonna be a very important match. And after that is the break, Alistair, or is the week afterwards?
that's the break straight after that. So yeah, last game for a couple of weeks.
Oh, good. Finally. Again, everybody, thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe to our channel on Twitch, on YouTube, on Spreaker, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you listen to our podcast. And please support our channel on Patreon, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Goodbye.
Cheers.